Bitcoin pumped on Sunday following a bizarre Trump post about a US crypto reserve, and then swiftly dumped this week as uncertainty and fear grips markets once again. What was behind Trump's post and the cascade of short and long liquidations that swiftly followed? Plus, we see support for a Bitcoin-only crypto reserve coming from the most unlikely sources. What is Trump's long-term plan for the economy and Bitcoin? Are we in for more pain? Or could relief in the form of fresh money printing be close at hand? Donald Trump took to Truth Social on Sunday morning to post this. A US crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the Presidential Working Group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, SOL, and ADA. I will make sure the US is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again. He then did a follow-up post saying, and obviously BTC and ETH as other valuable cryptocurrencies will be at the heart of the reserve. I also love Bitcoin and Ethereum. The markets responded with swift price pumps, with Bitcoin having its largest single-day green candle ever, rising by over $10,000 on the day and reaching $95,000. This was short-lived though, as it quickly retraced the gains yesterday and even fell further last night and early this morning. More on that in a second. The Trump post understandably left Bitcoiners with their palm in their face. It's painful to see the sitting president of the United States completely oblivious to the fact that Bitcoin is unique compared to all other cryptocurrencies, and why it's the only thing that makes sense in a strategic reserve. This was never more obvious than when supporters of Bitcoin only started coming from the most unlikely places. Starting with Peter Schiff, legendary Bitcoin hater and goldbug, who posted this on X. I get the rationale of a Bitcoin reserve. I don't agree with it, but I get it. We have a gold reserve. Bitcoin is digital gold, which is better than analog gold. So let's create a Bitcoin reserve too. But what's the rationale for an XRP reserve? Why the hell would we need that? Even CEO of crypto casino Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, came out in support of Bitcoin only, posting this. Excited to learn more. Still forming an opinion on asset allocation, but my current thinking is, 1, just Bitcoin would probably be the best option. Simplest and clear story as successor to gold. 2, if folks wanted more variety, you could do a market cap weighted index of crypto assets to keep it unbiased, but probably option number 1 is easiest. Early Bitcoin investor and co-founder of crypto exchange Gemini, Cameron Winklevoss, posted this. A strategic Bitcoin reserve is really not a choice if you look at the game theory and national security ramifications. It's a must. Like rare earth minerals, gold, oil, etc., any country needs to stockpile these resources to increase self-sufficiency and reduce leverage of its adversaries. Stockpiling sooner rather than later and before other countries is much better in terms of the price you pay. This is simple stuff. And finally, Jeff Park of Bitwise posted this. Listen, I represent a premier crypto firm that manages the world's largest index fund, and I'm telling you that Bitcoin should be the only strategic reserve asset. What else do you need to know? When the people that represent the crypto industry begin calling for Bitcoin only, you know that the crypto grift has gotten out of control. The unfortunate reality of Trump's post is that it was likely a pat on the back in an attempt to pump the bags of market participants that donated and lobbied heavily for his campaign. It's almost like he was tapped on the shoulder and told that the crypto crowd was hurting and needed a pick-me-up. But what resulted was an unfortunate Trump-led pump and dump, as Bitcoin and crypto quickly retraced all the gains early this week and fell as low as 81K this morning. Bitcoin has since recovered a little and is back at around 88K at the time of recording. The way up the pump saw billions of dollars of leveraged shorts wiped out, and the way back down saw nearly $1 trillion of leveraged longs wiped out across the entire crypto industry. Regardless of your thoughts on this strange turn of events, you have to admit it's a little disheartening that we've reached the stage of this flailing fiat experiment where people in the highest positions of power are normalizing what appears to be a pump and dump style event. Regardless, markets across the board are down, which clearly was the biggest driver of this week's price dump, as Trump's famed tariffs against Mexico, Canada, and China went into effect today, as well as general geopolitical uncertainty as the Trump administration looks to officially stop funding Ukraine in the Russia conflict. So what are the Trump admin's long-term goals here? And what does it all mean for Bitcoin? More on that a bit later. First, let's look at more reasons why so many influential people in the Bitcoin and crypto space are screaming from the rooftops that this strategic reserve should be Bitcoin only. And who better to educate us on why Bitcoin is special than Michael Saylor, who was on CNBC this morning.
As this becomes more adopted, and if we're talking about a strategic Bitcoin reserve or crypto reserve, how do you prevent insider trading, front running? You know, there's no insider trading laws because they're not securities. So Trump can just tweet about X coin and someone can front run it.
The reason that there's so much support for a commodity like Bitcoin is it is an asset without an issuer No entity controls it. No entity runs the network. No entity can change the protocol. No entity has enough power to impact the market trading of that protocol. That's actually why most of the focus is on the digital commodity. And that's what makes Bitcoin special. Satoshi was the insider. He left 1 million Bitcoin for all of humanity forever and walked away without ever benefiting. And that's what makes Bitcoin special.
Do you think that any other asset should be in the strategic crypto reserve?
I think if you're looking out over the next 100 years, trying to figure out how do you capitalize a nation state or a country, what you want is a digital commodity. But if you have a sovereign wealth fund, then I think it's well within the rights of the leader of the nation to decide to put, proprietary assets, securities, tokens, and the like into it. And of course, the decision will eventually be made through a fairly comprehensive political process over the next 6 months. We have till July 22nd, when the digital assets framework and recommendations from the executive order are due on the president's desk. It should be interesting to watch what happens between now and then.
Bitcoin is the only digital asset that makes sense in a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. And it's just a matter of time before the Trump admin realizes this. They may learn that lesson the hard way, or they may come to their senses and learn it the easy way, by doing the research and ignoring the lobbying of crypto industry donors like Ripple. Either way, Bitcoin doesn't care what they do, and it will eventually come out on top of any stockpile or reserve simply because it's the superior asset. There is no second best. So what is the endgame economically for the Trump administration? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was on Fox Business this morning talking about their broad economic plans.
On the economic side, I think thus far one of the biggest wins for the American people is since Election Day and since inauguration, mortgage rates have come down dramatically. Both the level of the 10-year bond and the spread between the 10-year and mortgage rates, which I think is an effect of the bank deregulation we're going to do. I anticipate.
Does that affect credit cards too?
The interest rates will affect credit cards. It'll affect auto loans. And the bottom 50% of Americans over the past 2 years have gotten crushed by these high interest rates. So we're set on bringing interest rates down. And I think that's one of the great accomplishments so far.
Tariffs went into effect yesterday. China got 10% on all imports, Mexico 25%, Canada on 25%. That promise of tariffs had the market tank. Can you tell us what it's going to be like today, and what do you think this will do for the economy?
Look, I think over the medium term, which is what we're focused on, it's a focus on Main Street. Wall Street's done great. Wall Street can continue to do fine, but we have a focus on small business and the consumers. So we are going to rebalance the economy. We're going to bring manufacturing jobs home. We are going to continue the surge in small business confidence that was at a record level when President Trump came in. We're cutting red tape, we're cutting regulations, and we're going to get bank lending going again.
As Bessent makes clear, the Trump admin is all in on lowering interest rates, even if it means short-term pain in the stock market. Investors are slowly realizing that Trump is sincere in his plan to upend the global economic and geopolitical order and rebalance the economy. The tariffs and deglobalization are real. The rules of the game are changing before our eyes, and global capital is scrambling to keep up. Trump's economic strategy could very well be chaos to front-load the pain, blame it on the past admin, and gain leverage over key players who feel squeezed by falling asset prices before shifting to pump mode towards the end of the year and into 2026 before the midterms. So expect volatility in the short term. Gold remaining strong is the clear signal that now is the time for scarce neutral reserve assets to shine. There's lots of capital that still sees Bitcoin as a risk-on asset, and that capital is currently being drained. Nature is healing. The fact remains that in an uncertain world, there's no more certain asset than Bitcoin. It's the world's only asset with a finite fixed supply. It's the world's only truly neutral asset. It has 24/7 liquidity, and it's the only asset with zero counterparty risk. No amount of price volatility will change these characteristics, and it represents the ideal combo for the world we're currently headed into. This is precisely what Larry Fink was talking about in January when he said this.
If you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you could have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears.
It's just a matter of time before the majority of the market sees Bitcoin for what it really is. The time to buy is now, while the market is fearful. So keep stacking the dips and be patient. All roads lead to Bitcoin in the end. And you can stack the dip with Swan. Visit swan.com or download the app by searching Swan Bitcoin in the App Store. Swan has the fastest and easiest onboarding experience in the industry. You go from sign up to buying Bitcoin in minutes. And if you already have a healthy stack of Bitcoin in self-custody and want to upgrade your security, then Swan Vault is for you. Swan Vault is a multi-signature custody solution where you vastly improve your security from loss or theft without sacrificing sovereignty. Visit swan.com/vault to learn more. And a quick shout out to Mara, the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner, for supporting this show and for helping make Bitcoin the world's most decentralized and secure monetary network. So what do you think about Trump's pump and dump? What about his economic endgame? I'd love to know your thoughts, so leave them in the comments below. Like this video, share it with friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, TikTok next block.